Hey,
Hello.
Hannah, welcome to, are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Expected volume,
Yeah, that's it.
where the volume definitely refers to our voices. Our hosts, me, Matt Ridden, you, deep breath,
Call the messenger.
Hannah Messinger. Sorry, it's hard to do at this ungodly hour on the West Coast. Um, Ungodly hour for us, but for our listeners, it'll be served hot and ready 2 to 6 weeks later whenever I get around to publishing these things.
At their leisure. Expected volume is very good because we're going to record so often and so well.
Oh yeah, the volume is just us speaking loudly and yapping and being
Mm.
ridiculous. But I mean, if you show up every week, then you
On
know,
time this time. Yeah, it
yeah,
really sucks that I was late the first time and then canceled the second time. That really gives a bad start. You can
yeah.
hold
But I
government
mean,
for a long time.
I think just making it to the second recording is kind of a big deal by whatever means, right?
So true. So true.
Yeah,
In our car.
we did, however, miss a lot. Um, what happened in the last 2 weeks? Well, two nuclear powers went to war.
Yep.
The Pope died and was replaced with a White Sox fan and AGI warrior. Um, and there's a new song topping the charts that all the kids are bopping their heads along to. What's it called? Heil Hitler. Hey,
Okay, from this I'm deriving that the guests are either the new Pope, Kanye West, or my guess, given the day it is, I can't believe you didn't mention it, my mom,
oh right.
as it
Oh my
is Mother's
God,
Day. Matt, have you called your mother today?
Hannah, if I tracked Mother's Day whatsoever, I definitely that would have occurred to me. I would have tried to do it.
Matt, you need to call your
Um,
mom today.
Spoiler alert: I did not recruit your mother as a guest, though that would have been awesome. Um,
She is about to be
yeah.
on a plane to Paris, so that makes sense.
Oh wow, so you big up for Mother's Day there in the Messenger house.
That's right. Excuse me. She kept her last name, Obvi.
Oh, okay. It's more juicy kind of family tree details that we all like. We learned who your cousin was last week for keen-eared listeners.
That's right. That's right.
Very fun. Well, you'll have to go back and listen to that one. I presume that the listenership of each episode is just going to go up like quite a lot.
So
If
many new people don't know the lore.
people care exactly, and they're going to have to uncover it. Little Easter eggs that we drop
That's right.
around here
Because
and
I'm
there.
so secretive and private and subtle.
Yes, yes, you are. There are secrets, listeners. There are secrets that I only know just like the bare minimum enough to know that there are secrets. And then you get nothing, apparently. That's how this works. But I don't know, maybe by episode 30 or something, that we'll loosen up this reality. You'll realize that the outside world is not so dangerous.
It'll all come out
You can just open up. It'd be great.
to all the unknowns.
Yeah, of course. We love the unknowns.
We love the unknowns, especially unknown unknowns.
I did not look up Andy's Donald Rumsfeld musical. I think that was a big miss
Yeah,
in the
I
last 2 weeks
totally
for me.
forgot to do that.
It'll be in the links. It'll be in the links when we publish last week's episode.
Yeah.
Um, Great. So anyway, I've been talking about my own laziness a whole bunch. That's on my mind.
Oh,
Turning these episodes around, preparing, realizing it's Mother's Day, recruiting your mother, failed to do all these things. Would have been so much better. Um, yeah, I feel like you have a commentary on people's relationship to deadlines.
as in you, yeah, whenever you say something like that to me, I don't know whether I've said something interesting to you before, or you're just like, probably Hannah has a rant in her about this
Oh
topic
no,
in
totally
expectation.
the latter. Totally the
Yeah,
latter.
great.
Because I have a thing. I'll set you up a little bit. I
Yeah.
feel like this is my best like Hana impression. Um, there are like two kinds of people who let deadlines slip.
Mm,
One are people who just like have objectively like too much on their plate, they can't balance it all, they fail. Other people just have a sort of default relationship to deadlines by which like some default like level of seriousness with which they take deadlines such that like they very consistently like do all the things they intended to do like so many days after the alleged deadline because like the deadline comes in and like imposes this like pressure on them, but that pressure doesn't really bite until the deadline has passed by some ways, and they feel like some excessive guilt or shame about it. I feel like you have a potentially crisper articulation of this phenomenon, or maybe there's like a third thing that I don't even realize is going on here.
That's very interesting. I think I have never met a person for whom deadlines are useful because they always turn things around X days afterwards. The only kinds of people I've met, especially around here, are people for whom when a deadline slips, the desire to finish grows, but so too does the overwhelming sense of shame, which makes it much harder to work on account of like having two screaming voices in your head, one of which says, get it done, and the other one of which says, you suck. Remember that you suck. And then they either never get it done and then maybe never want to speak to the person who gave them the task ever again.
Hmm.
Um, or they get it done and never want to talk about that task ever again. So I don't know the second kind of person. I think, okay, gosh, my saucy take on the first kind is yes, I think I do have a saucy take on the first kind. I feel a little bad saying it, but here we are. I think there is no such thing as letting deadlines just slip if you're really on top of things. By which I mean, of course, you may have mispredicted. Of course, things may have come up. But there is a kind of person who really wants to like get things done. And so what they will do is not tell you that they aren't going to make the deadline. Very similar to not admitting from last time that you're going to be late. And then they just like don't arrive at it at the time. And then they just like pull an all-nighter to make it happen because they desperately want to do that for you or for the world. And that's all very nice. But I think it would be better for everyone if they were just like the day before, they were like, you know, this isn't going to happen. Or even a week before, hey, it's going to happen another day. I'm moving the deadline. You can just move the deadline. I think people don't realize this enough because you have to admit it in advance. And admitting things in advance is terrible. Oh my God.
Who's at the window?
It's a squirrel. Do you see this squirrel?
Seriously?
It's so close to me.
Oh wow, he is very close to you. I will give you. I'll credit you with that for sure.
Wow. I feel like a Disney princess. This is a great moment in my life. We can talk about laziness, but I might not look at the camera for a while.
That's all good. You did also somewhat topically just totally like geoguesser yourself, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
The
Yeah,
AIs all know where Hana lives now.
that's right. I mean, honestly, I was just waiting for the time that they could do the indoor pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of, sorry, if you want to keep talking about laziness, we can do that. A fun fact about the Bay culture. Do you know about this? Do you know that people share their locations with their friends to like an
Like on WhatsApp?
astonishing degree? Yeah.
Oh, to an astonishing degree.
Or
Yeah, I knew this technology was available.
sorry, I
I
don't mean in for an hour, like when you're meeting somewhere. I mean all the time.
I see. Yeah.
By default,
Interesting.
like my friends just have on their phones, like I guess like Find My Friends was like a thing, or like Map My Friends was the thing on Snapchat for the like younger set. But for my set, this is weird. And like they just have all their friends all the time. And last night, I hope the person doesn't mind me saying this. I was hanging out with someone who was like, "Oh, you know when you're looking at the map of your friends and you're like, are my friends hanging out without me?" And I was like, this is what happened when we got Facebook and everyone had the albums that we posted all the pictures to on the Monday after the parties, and you could see everyone hanging out without you. This was not good for anybody. This is there lies danger.
So bad.
It
I
is so common that I, who is like one of the most outspoken against, I am not sharing my location with people, I'm not doing this. I now have 3 other people's locations that they were like, well, I'll share mine with you. And I was like, well, I'm a nosy bitch, so that's fine. But like, I'm against it and I just receive. That's how common this is.
so interesting. I think you pointed to the much more broadly applicable human aspect of this, which is like, yeah, noticing that other people are hanging out without you is like one potential thing here that people would take kind of hard, maybe. The direction I was going to go, because you said it was specific to the Bay, I was like, are these cryogenics people who just want as much data right on their lives as possible to be recorded in as many places as possible, so that like if any like sort of neurological repair needs to be done in the future to make them themselves, that's there.
This is so perfect that you said this because EckersCon was yesterday, which is an unconference dedicated to Peter Eckersley, who sort of famously, there was a community-wide push to get him cryogenically frozen very quickly when he got sick and died a few years ago. Yeah, I had a great conversation with some folks at the office actually like 2 months ago about this, about not only can you sort of quantify yourself into immortality potentially, but presumably that which the version of you that exists in other people's brains is also a rich vein of information about you, which in my neurotic brain equated to like, oh God, is that yet another reason to be open and honest with the people around me and suffer the mortifying ordeal of being known? Because maybe the AIs will be able to reconstruct me better. Golly gosh, the evidence sure is piling up.
Episode 30, everyone. Look forward. Hannah's gonna reveal her secrets. It's gonna be great.
That's right. As Tyler Cowan says, we gotta be writing for the AIs. Surely you and I are podcasting primarily for the AIs.
Naturally. Yeah.
Naturally. I'm Hannah Messinger. I work at 80,000 hours. Oh, do you want to know what I told my Claude or my ChatGPT project when I started this job? They asked what I did for a living, and I said, I'm head of video. And then I said, I don't know why I said this. Maybe I thought it would provide good context. I said, I used to work in community health, parentheses. Don't assume you know what that means.
I mean, does that work as a prompt just in general? If you're talking about something very niche?
Probably not, but it's hard to tell. I did tell Claude not to be fucking cringe when it writes me short form scripts. And I think
Did he
that did
care?
help.
Oh, it did?
I think so.
Oh yeah, I guess they LLMs probably do a ton of mirroring, right? Where they like if you are as like casual and freewheeling as you want them to be, they'll kind of match you a bit, right?
Well, some of them, I mean, famously, O3 was like sycophantic no matter how direct the users were.
Was it sycophantic in a general way, or was it like in a very bespoke to the user kind of way?
I think mostly the former, at least all the screenshots I saw online, and this accords with the thing I saw when I was using it, all had this kind of same format where, like, Matt, you would say, I've been thinking about laziness lately. And then I, O3, say, wow, you're just really on the ball with this kind of thing. Let's dig in.
Let's dig in, of course. So Hannah, shall we be sycophantic for our guest?
I would love that.
Our guest is an eminent scholar, who I will introduce and let him hear his introduction. By the way, all the guests are going to be white men. I just have binders full of white men. Just wait for it. It's Mr. Phil Trammell, everyone.
What? Yes.
Shocking. I got
Great.
Phil. Hey, Phil.
Hello.
Hannah's very excited to see you. She didn't know you were coming, as I think I told you.
I'm really excited to see you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you too.
I should probably glamorize for the future guests I don't like. I feel the way I feel about all guests about you.
Well,
Nailed it.
You think you're surprised? Matt told me you were setting me up with Joe Rogan, so
He's the next guest, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. For the benefit of our listeners, should I introduce Phil? Should I do one of my classic episode 2 introductions? Phil Trammell, our guest, is a postdoctoral researcher at Stanford's Digital Economy Lab, where he works on such vital questions to the future of the American economy, such as what if AI got really good though? And no, but like actually really good. In the past, he has analyzed a number of get rich very slowly schemes and questions kind of like that one. And questions more related to his current work, like why does anyone even believe this AI stuff? I've only meaningfully interacted with Phil on like 3 occasions, but the one where Hannah was there he was actually pretty funny. So let's see if we can replicate that today. Phil, welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
We were talking about Joe Rogan though, so we should probably just pivot quickly back to Joe Rogan.
He's so obsessed with quantum computing. It's amazing. I say this so that any listeners, and Phil in particular, if you do end up on Joe Rogan, which seems more likely now than ever, given the people who have been on recently, quantum computing, you're in. If you bring up quantum computing, he'll love you forever. He'll text you. You'll be his quantum computing guy.
Holocaust denial is a very small part of my portfolio. Okay, don't. I'm not. Yeah, I don't think my odds are really any different than they were years ago. I didn't know that. Yeah, good to know. I don't follow him enough to know what he's into.
Say, Phil, how Jewish are you?
Not.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask this question.
People often think I'm Jewish, and I take it as a compliment, but I'm.
I mean, there's the degrees and the awards, and all this and that. Am I going too far? Well, anyway, Hannah, this is a question I really wanted to ask you, but I wanted to see if we should include Phil in the question or whatever. So Phil, at the top of the show, I read some of the headlines from the last 2 weeks. And there's this new song out by Kanye West called Heil Hitler. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
blowing up
I
the charts.
listened to it out of curiosity, like so many people.
I mean, who couldn't? Hannah, I was wondering about your like level of Jewish identity when it comes to this stuff. Like, I don't know, you seem pretty above the fray with a lot of things, and I wonder if like, yeah, straight up Nazism is like gets to you at all in a special way.
Like, when does the chill girl facade crack?
Yeah.
Is it Nazis or is it further? Yeah. My reaction to Kanye West's descent into madness and anti-Semitism, which turns out, well, there was some reporting that it's been a 20-year history, kept secret until. Turns out when you have somebody with that little self-control, nothing is. Wow, this squirrel. Hello. Sorry, Phil. There's some background lore about this squirrel that I've recruited to be.
Was that the most well-timed commentary on self-control
That's
ever,
right.
or was okay?
Oh, that's wow, much better than I could have planned for. Okay, right. I can focus. Wow, you really do bring the spiciness out of me. My long-standing feeling about anti-Semitism of this form is, one, were white supremacists always this funny? Two, like, I don't think so. And two, like, he makes me feel superior more than I usually feel. I usually try not to think of myself as better than other people. But when he's like, I'm not bipolar, my Jew psychiatrist told me, I'm like, one, that's hilarious. Two, do you want me to feel like you are denigrating yourself? I feel better than you on account of your obvious insanity. Okay, it jumped on my window. This is not my fault. Everything's fine now. Yeah, up until the song. So I have a couple questions about the song. One, how did he get all of these black backup dancers to chant Heil Hitler with him? Who are these people? Can we interview them? Can we have them on the show? Two, I think the existence of the song doesn't upset or stress me out too much because it seems funny and ridiculous. But the idea of it playing at concerts and playing out loud in Washington Square Park, which I saw a video of, does upset me and just seems, very bad. Bad timeline, bad correlates. Norms are good, destruction thereof, decorum, decency, all down the toilet. I'm against. I'm curious what you make of his like personal self-analysis. So an interesting thing to me about the song is how much he is not trying to discuss a principled take on the Adolf lens on the world, but instead says out loud that which I would say anti-white supremacist scholars have been saying for a long time, and he just tweeted it out. I'm angry. They took my kids. I don't have another outlet. These are all lyrics from the song. There's just he's just like, yeah, that's why I really want to say Heil Hitler, because they took my fucking kids and I'm upset and this is my outlet. There's something interesting to me about that.
I mean, yeah, okay. It sounds like you know a lot more about this than I do. I don't. I'm not on Twitter. I don't. But
just with a close eye.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, obviously, sometimes people are, they have some grievance, and then they just kind of they go crazy about it, and they start accusing the whole group of people who kind of surround the group that centers around the individual that they're mad at or something. But like, people hate groups of people sort of for no reason also. And so I mean, it's always a little it's something that's especially ironic about people thinking I'm Jewish is that my dad was really I haven't talked about this publicly ever, and I guess I don't know if this podcast counts as but as the first time, but my dad was like actually pretty horrifically anti-Semitic, and I sort of obviously he passed away when I was younger, but I I heard all of that from him, and I don't think I was affected by it at the time. But afterward, I just sort of ignored it. And then a few years ago, I actually kind of painfully started digging into it and just how deep it was. And one thing I did was just like ask around about whether he had um, had any negative interactions with Jewish people. And I mean, I grew up in New York, like he certainly had lots of interactions, and presumably some were negative, right? Like it could, and basically no. In
I
fact,
have
he
any negative
complained
interactions
about
with people.
yeah, right. He didn't, he had been in the Navy. He didn't really like his higher ups in the Navy, which is why he left. None of them were Jewish. He didn't really like, well, I don't want to start whatever. He had some jobs and he didn't always like all the people at the job. None of them were Jewish. Um, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, Hannah, maybe I'm just re-articulating the point that you made a minute ago, but a really interesting thing with like slurs and taboos and things that society overall has said are like, you don't go here, we have a lot of consensus around this or whatever, is that it just does hold up a target for like, if you're mad at the world, like here are the norms you violate, and then you just go and violate them. So it's like, same with like the N-word and like all this other kind of thing, right?
I mean, I'll say like when something is like firmly enough established as a taboo that it's like obvious that breaking it is just a joke, it's just being provocative, then you're kind of almost I think you're kind of reinforcing a taboo by kind of like testing out breaking it and finding that everyone laughs instead of actually believing it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, wow, we're finally over it. But but I need kind of hope that we were there with Nazism, and the fact that now it's actually like unclear how serious someone is means that they've kind of got to be serious, Like,
yeah, like Phil, I felt roughly this way, right? Like the joking about it suggests a level of like comfort and self-assurance and agreement about the badness of it. But I think that like kind of like my woke counterparts or something like that who said, oh, you can't joke about these things because it'll lead to bad things, are kind of like getting validated here, right? Like because you can see the transition from like joke, I'm just being provocative, I'm just being edgy, to like, oh, actually pretty bad things are happening and people are nodding along, either somewhat humorously but also somewhat enthusiastically. Like it's like quite ambiguous.
And precisely that joking creates a cloak of ambiguity in which you can play around and push a lot of boundaries.
We should talk to Phil about stuff Phil knows, hey?
Would love that.
Phil, if I want to plunder the impatient to enrich myself, what ticker symbol do I put all my money in?
um,
It's not financial advice, of course.
yeah, I don't think if all you're leveraging is the fact that you're more patient than other people, I don't think it's about which ticker symbol you choose, because the main thing you'll want to do is find investments that are illiquid. Those are things that you don't, if you know you're not cashing out for 50 years, then you don't care about the liquidity. And stocks are all very liquid.
Right.
So you want to do something like what some university endowments have done. Yale famously pioneered buying forestry, because apparently it's sort of hard to sell mid growth, because the buyer, there's all these information asymmetries the buyer's going to have to prospect.
Yale owns forests?
Yeah.
I think Harvard does too, and like famously they did terribly in like Argentine lumber or something one year.
Now it's common, but Yale thought of it.
I have a potentially extremely stupid question, and maybe this is just what index funds are. Isn't it kind of true that all stocks can go up a lot more than they can go down? And therefore, if you just, God, this is so dumb. If you just buy all of them, well, no, I guess there could be a lot more. There could just be a lot more stocks that go down than go up, which is probably what's true. But is there something sensible at all in what I'm saying? That the upside risk is just so much. I guess that has to be priced in, though. It's just that zero is a floor. Do you know what I mean? And on the high side, there isn't a ceiling.
Okay.
That's all. I don't know if I'm saying anything sensible, but
it's possible to
buy all the stocks. That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know what follows from that. It's true that they can go down only to zero, and they can't. There's no upper bound.
So
That's
shouldn't you
not
buy
a
them?
reason to buy them.
No.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, because you might value having the money for sure than
Yes.
having some gamble where it could go up a lot, but if it goes up a lot, you'll be rich, and you don't really care so much about the extra dollar.
And like the probability that it can go to zero can be just like much, much greater than the probability that it
Yeah.
goes anything remotely resembling infinite or whatever.
That's also true.
Value bites again. But yeah, it's not really infinite. So you don't just get that math.
Yeah.
As a fun fact, Bernie Madoff, in addition to, or as part of the Ponzi scheming, had this guy, I think his name is Frank, who was like some kind of like working class mathematical genius, but Good Will Hunting vibes, who like figured out for every person what stocks they had to pretend to have bought to make the winnings they were claiming to have made. Like they like backfilled in, but they didn't just like give people the money. They were like, well, we bought these exact stocks, which is actually just like an extremely complicated, almost traveling salesman like problem. Like very
like
hard.
backpack. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Knapsack problem.
Knapsack problem. Yeah.
There was just some guy on like the 11th floor of the same building, kind of Constellation vibes, where it's just like the different floor was the like illicit floor. They were doing the normal stuff on the top floor or whatever. And he just like, I don't know, I think that's a wild fact.
Here's the thing that I've been confused about, which is in a very similar vein, which is like, as a historical matter, it has just been the case that these like diverse index funds, like the S&P 500 or whatever, consistently go up over time. And I just feel like like everyone, there's kind of like strong consensus that that's the general trend. And so I just wonder why like finance hasn't actually priced that in such that like the trend does look more like a random walk, but as time goes by, like the index goes up. What's going on with that?
So it does. I mean, you can quibble about what statistical test you use or whatever, but basically the consensus, I think, is that it does look like a random walk with a positive trend. A random walk, I mean, there can be some funky distribution of ups and downs, but it's a martingale with the trend, meaning that once you've taken out the trend, it doesn't your distribution over future movements is history independent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
you can't think because it's gone up recently, it'll probably keep going up or it'll probably go down or something. Again, you can quibble. There's people argue, oh, it's a little bit of momentum or a little bit of whatever, but
yeah, but I guess my intuition is probably something way simpler. Just like, why doesn't like big finance like take super levered bets and bid up the price of like the S&P 500 index like to like some ridiculously high amount such that it like never goes up and like just eats the whole trend at the beginning or whatever.
Because okay, so at least the standard theory of this is that you can, so the opportunity cost of investing in equities is investing in safer things. So let's say there's only two things to invest in: bonds, which were totally risk-free and earned a low positive interest rate, and stocks, which were higher expected return but higher variance, right? Then, and the third thing you can do with your money, of course, is just consume it, or spend it on things you consume right away. Of the part that you'll invest, you'll it's kind of obvious, but the expected returns have to be higher for the thing with higher variance because you have diminishing marginal utility in money. And there's this puzzle, the equity premium puzzle, that it seems like equities have much higher expected return and only a bit more variance. So it kind of, if you just try to fit people's behavior to a model of maximizing expected utility over the whole stream of consumption, they end up realizing it seems like they would have to have really steeply diminishing marginal utility in consumption at every time, right? Because otherwise, if it's like close to linear, then you don't care that much about the variance. And when you look at how people behave in other domains, other than this how they split their investments between stocks and bonds. It seems like they have diminishing marginal utility, but not steep enough to justify just how high the expected returns to the stocks have to be.
The time preference and marginal utility stuff, I think does mostly check out for me, though I don't have as deep an intuition as you do, I'm sure. Hannah just likes that it has a name, the equity premium puzzle. You were very, very, very happy about that.
I just like that Phil knows it, because of course he does, and it's all very professorial. Just a big fan. I do like that it has a name.
Well, one resolution could be that people are just sort of messing up and buying too many bonds, buying too few stocks. But economists are always reluctant to come to that conclusion, maybe wrongly, but the sort of strong bias is to say people know what they're doing, and you just need to figure out what their preferences are.
The main difference between economists and rationalists.
Well, actually, yeah, I think that's actually very, very deep. When you would look at sort of EA commentaries and rationalist commentaries about how we should all be investing, not like how much we should be investing, but just like of what we're investing, how risk tolerant to be, so like, should we put it all in stock? Should we go further and take on leverage so that we're like kind of borrowing bonds to invest more in stock? So that's a way to answer your earlier question, Hannah. That's a way that you can go down below zero, right?
Yeah. Of course. I mean, you can leverage, you can do shorts, you can whatever. Yeah.
They were taking the, not always explicitly, but basically they were taking the position that everyone's messing up, and actually, because the simple formula says that given how much higher the expected returns are, the stocks, we should all just be buying stocks and even taking on leverage. And I wrote this sort of long rambling EA forum post like 2 years ago, after the FTX implosion, because it seems to me that all these explanations people have come up with for why people don't do that, like all these clever economists trying to figure out like how to rationalize what people are doing, can apply to philanthropists as well. Some of them apply more weakly to philanthropists than to like normal people saving for their retirement. But at least in a few cases, I think they apply even more strongly to philanthropists. So this point about new products I was mentioning before, right? That if you're a foundation or just a donor, it could totally be that as time goes on, there's more infrastructure gets developed, more ideas get fleshed out on how to spend your philanthropic money. So it might be that at any given time there's steeply diminishing returns, but so we want to really, really make sure that we have that first 10 billion in 20 years, right? Because there's going to be really steeply diminishing returns in 20 years, but the ceiling is going to be higher than it is now, right? Because we'll have,
which puts an interesting gloss, I guess, on like philanthropic investment in philanthropic research, a la
sure
diversification team and Open Phil or something, which is like investing in the possibility of getting greater upside and lower diminishing marginal utility from your future investments.
There's a funny story about this EA forum post. I definitely could have written it more like compactly and clearly with more time. And I had a hiking trip coming up, and I just wanted to get this out of the way before I went on the hiking trip because it's sort of been hanging over my head. I wanted to get it off my chest. So, I just went ahead and posted it. People seemed to like it within the 12 hours after I posted it. And then I have no access to the internet for like a week. I'm on the High Sierra Trail, and it's all amazing. And I come back, and someone I don't know who they are, and I wish them all the best and everything, but someone named Simon M on the EA forum has written this really long and really, really critical comment. And that's gotten all the upvotes, and my thing's gotten downvote. And it was just like the most, like the classic internet, like I don't know. The thing that kind of keeps me up at night whenever I post anything on the internet.
I actually have a sort of related question, which I feel like blends economics and gossip in a very nice way, which is like there is a claim made by some parts of the rationalist EA sphere that I think is like not so hard to come to from first principles, which is something like, okay, we're all around here taking risks with our careers, with our mental health, with our money, through investments, through taking hard jobs, this, that, and the other. Are there models that suggest like what it should look like to share the winnings from the people who ended up making the right bets ex post with all the people who made reasonable bets ex ante? That is, right? If I like try out something because ADK advising told me to, and I like burn out or I fail, wasn't the right call, and they changed their mind 2 years later, but somebody else like made a lot of money or got a lot of impact. Is there some sense in which you should be like sharing that impact money? Mental health is a little less liquid.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, I don't know. When I'm, but I don't know if I really how deeply
you if you're happy about the success of your project, you have to hang out with the people who are all depressed that their projects fail.
Indeed, when I'm, doing better in life, I like think I spread more joy and have more energy to like support my friends who are not doing well, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, the other arguments hold.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's always tough because you know, it seems just like totally analogous to the fact that people starting out, with on different careers and or like with different startup ideas or whatever, would ideally all like to insure each other, probably.
Yes, exactly,
But
exactly. Yes, this is what I mean.
but they don't do. I mean, just even just on
But maybe they should.
their
Maybe
money.
our listeners who are like in college together with all your other smart friends and you're all embarking on different careers. Well, I don't know how your careers are going to pan out in 3 years with AI, but you should insure each other. This is a great idea.
No, well, okay. I mean,
No.
maybe there's ways to do better than people currently do, but like one problem you'll run into is that it's just a huge moral hazard, right? It's hard to know that people will actually be work as hard and be as thoughtful about what they're doing if they're totally insured. And I mean, this comes up all the time. Like, this is why startup founders have to hold on to they have to have a lot of eggs in that basket, or else investors are less confident in investing in the startup. So, like, so if they had some secret deal in which they'd just all the friends had insured each other in college, they shouldn't tell the investors about it. That
Shit. Wow, that's a great point. There was this classic U Chicago Shabbat lunch table discussion, which is auctioning babies. And usually this pans out as like, what does it mean to
This is what King Solomon should have done, right? I don't know why he didn't just have an auction.
You each get right, you each get the result of an auction of their future earnings.
Yeah, second price.
That's right.
Sealed bid.
And then like one of the women like gives a number that's like 100x more than the other. And so King Solomon rips up the other paper and says, I now know that this woman is the true mother.
Yeah, right. But she only has to pay what the other one would have paid.
That's right.
Right. No, it's great. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, moral hazard. And insurance companies broadly handle this how?
Well, I mean, in a lot of domains, they just don't sell the insurance because they know that the only people or they know that if they sell the insurance, then people will do the thing that.
Yeah, like we don't have like private unemployment insurance, right?
Oh my
we have
God.
private health insurance, but like because like that's just like objectively like really bad and to be avoided.
Well, even health insurance, there's
I mean, not in all cases.
This old argument that this is a bit of an issue, that like the free market will underprovide health insurance, both for the moral hazard reason we were just saying, that people will be less careful about their health if they're better insured, and for the adverse selection reason that people who know that their health is worse, or that they smoke or something that's more likely to give them worse health in the future, will be more likely to buy it. And so at the end of the day, maybe the only people buying insurance are the people who are the worst prospect anyway.
Yeah.
I think in the case of health insurance, that's not that compelling because there's this kind of lucky thing pointing the other way. Not just with health actually, but especially with health, which is that the people who are most risk averse, just dispositionally, will want the most insurance, but will also take
Oh
the
my
most
God.
care of their
Yeah.
health.
Wow. It's a
So
travesty that insurance is like a default example of like most boring career. This is just like maybe one of the most
yeah, no,
interesting pains of.
yeah, the logic of it can be interesting. But anyway, so I mean, yeah, if you have a community of people who really are all working as hard as they can to make the world a better place, and
Yeah.
then I guess this could work.
I was going to
So I guess
suggest
in
some
that
kind of
case, then you don't even need it, right? I mean, if your only goal is to make the world a better place, then who cares if
yeah.
you lose status or something? Because
So I think like global impact is like pretty naturally just distributed among everyone. You're happy the impact happened, right? But there are some private costs, and maybe with regard to like this close knit, well coordinated community, we could bring back some sense of honor. Maybe have a blood oath or something.
I remember I thought I was so smart in 2016 when I went to my first EAG, and I was like, why are people not taking the pledge publicly? Like, why are people standing up at the end of this like Will McCaskill talk and just like standing and saying, I take the pledge, and then everyone applauds, and then the next person takes it. And then I ended up trying to avoid pressuring people into making lifelong commitments and, tell every Jewish grandmother that about marriage. But at the time, I thought I was very clever.
Depending on the day, I sometimes really feel like I've so the worst when I'm when I'm in the worst mood, I feel that on the whole, I've made the world a worse place because there are people who are doing econ work that's like not particularly um, not particularly valuable, who might otherwise have gone with whatever kind of more standard EA advice, even 6 years ago or something was, and they would have all been, saving the world. And and then like the really miserable thought is that maybe because at least all of like economic theory or like whatever the thing is I've just specialized in getting good at, maybe that'll all be automated soon enough that there's no time left. So the book is closed. It's better. It would have been better if I'd never been born. And most of the time I don't think that, but it's just the world's complicated enough that it's easy to tell a story in which that's true, I think, or false. But yeah, so
I think this is also just the devastating thing about trying to have impact, which is it's easier to tell whether you're having more impact or less impact, and it's harder to tell whether it's positive or negative. But you're pushed to try to have impact at all, and then if you later worry that it wasn't the right call, then all of the work to increase the size of the vector feels worse and worse.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean I had coming full circle, having grown up decidedly not Jewish, I taught CCD. I taught Catholic Sunday school in my senior year of high school for a year, and so and now I'm not Catholic, and that wasn't just time wasted. I mean, to the extent that I was successful, I think it was time spent pushing people in the wrong direction. My fourth graders won there's like the Upper East Side, and anyway, the church out of which the program was run, all the different fourth grade classes had a doctrine bee at the end of the year, like a spelling bee where they got up and had to answer questions. My team, the Tongues of Fire, won the doctrine bee. Maybe they would have remembered fewer false doctrines with a different teacher. Um,
Well, you can put that feather in your cap. It is better that you were born, if only for that.
wait, what? No, I'm saying the opposite.
He is saying the opposite.
Oh, wait, sorry. I failed to follow. But
You think they
no
might have
need to.
remembered fewer false facts.
Sorry, I was way too hype about fourth graders learning church doctrine and then competing over it. That is just like very much my vibe.
Well, there's an opening, I guess now. They probably filled it by now.
Things cycle over. Hana knows about teaching. Amazing. Phil, we did come full circle back to our respective religions, and I didn't realize this was going to be such a New York cast. But we really
Are you
appreciate
from New York as well?
No, I'm from New York Junior. Home of the Pope, the new Pope, of course.
Oh,
Uh,
right.
uh,
Congrats.
yeah, the Pope is a White Sox fan. That's a big deal for me. So anyway, we really appreciate you having you on, and coming full circle in that way and teaching us all about things that could help our financial life if we followed them correctly, in theory at least. Yeah. Do you have any last thing you want to say to the guests before we wrap?
No, not really. It's always good seeing you and see you soon.
All right, Phil. We'll let you go for now. Hana and I will wrap up on our end.
All right.
Thanks for
Take care.
coming, Phil.
Yeah.
Hana, how did that
Matt.
go?
One of the great things about Phil is just how dark, deep, and earnest he's willing to go at about the drop of a dime. It's
Yeah.
almost funny that he and I are friends because while he's extremely funny, it is in this kind of like wait for it kind of way. And I often have to be like, Hannah, do not interrupt him. He is like getting to the good, like he is getting to his story. He is building it. He is like creating a cathedral in conversation. You have to let it happen. So this is, I hope, one of my lower interruption episodes. But I thought he was really, really open with us. And I thought that was really lovely.
Nice. I did, everything we talked about, like you said, was deep, was helpful, was informative. I really wanted to ask about the interest rates thing. This whole like Basil Halpern, like is the market pricing in
Right.
AGI takeoff?
Yes,
I
yes.
think Phil is like very well versed in this. But as you noted, it takes time just to unpack simple things like how do I not destroy all the wealth that I've saved? Which, for you and me personally, which is the goal of this podcast, more important.
By taking Hannah's advice and buy all the stocks.
Yeah, I think that was the conclusion I took away too.
That's right. That's right. One by one. Is the main
one by one. Yes. Start with the A's.
Skip. Call people on the phone and say, I would like to buy the following stock.
AAA Services Incorporated.
That's right.
10 shares. Yeah, we didn't talk about people who put all their money into bonds irrationally because they expect the U.S. global hegemony to collapse. And what you do when you expect U.S. global hegemony to collapse is buy U.S. treasuries, which is kind of strange, but kind of what one of the hosts of this podcast may have done recently.
Great. He said something like no risk. And I was like, only if the US exists.
Yeah, or is the reserve currency, or is considered low risk and won't default and won't like do all these tens of others of things that are frighteningly plausible.
Yeah, I also did want to ask him the like Tyler Cowen question, like if you were going to bet on volatility, what would that look like? Which is, I think, sort of maybe exactly the same as the question you were asking.
Well, they have an index for that, and supposedly it's the stupidest thing to invest in, but you can do it.
Great. What are the Pope's investments? That's what I want to know.
I assume he's taken some kind of out poverty.
Oh, they do have to do that, don't they?
Which is like so appealing to me so often, right? Like,
Yeah.
like I don't spend very much money in my life.
All right, you want to be a priest so bad. It is so clear.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm in talks with some people. Yeah, the money side of it is terrible. I spend so little year to year. I work all the time. yet I have this like pile of money that belongs to me, and it just causes me so much anxiety what to do with this money that I really just don't need. Like I'm doing the wrong thing with it. So like, hey, if any listeners want my Fidelity password, and we'll just like do it for me, just write in, let me know. Um, I'm very much in the market for some such thing, just to absolve myself of the responsibility.
If you want the moral hazard of Matt Reardon's money.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Might as well trade investments for investments.
Oh god, that's good. That's good. Well, anyway, you have to not go to the gym again right now, don't you?
I knew you were going to ask, and I was sad about it. It's a date day. Okay, so the question is whether we'll go to the gym together. But if we have other date plans, then we won't, because that's important.
Hey, my personal opinion, and I think I've expressed this to you before, is hubby could use some gym time. I've told him that too.
This does not go in the podcast.
What, the fact that you have a hubby and he could use some gym time? That's like the most generic thing you could say about anyone. You and your privacy, come now.
We'll ask him. But yeah, what if we became a gym couple? Wouldn't that be so cute? It would be very cute.
Cuteness aside, it just feels like the right thing to do.
We'll see how it goes. I thought you were going to say, what is the point of gym time once you have a hubby?
Oh, if gender roles were reversed, yeah, that would be the take. From hubby's perspective, he should get fat. Yeah.
I work out with men who definitely, at least one of whom, did I say this last time, are pretty clear about the fact that the point of working out is not to get strong, it's to get swole.
Bang. Right. You co-host with one such person as well.
I admire goal factoring. I admire being clear about what you're actually optimizing for.
All right, Hannah, get that hubby to the gym.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Get swole.
Let's go. Yeah. Bye.